Hi, welcome to all. In this session, let us learn about the concept of underwriting, the guidelines for portability, and also third party administrators, who we call as TPAs. See, now you look at this scenario. Manish was aged 48 years. He was working as a software engineer. He decided to take a health insurance policy for himself. He went to an insurance company where they gave him a proposal form in which he was required to answer a number of questions related to his physical build and health, mental health, pre-existing illness, his family health, his history, habits, and so on. On receipt of his proposal form, he was also required to submit many documents such as identity, age proof, proof of address, and previous medical records. Then they told him to undergo a health checkup and some medical tests, which actually frustrated him. Manish, who considered himself a healthy person and with a good income level, started wondering why such a lengthy process was being followed by the insurance company in his case. Even after going through all this, the insurance company told him that high cholesterol and high BP had been diagnosed in his medical test, which increased the chances of heart diseases later. Though they offered him a policy, the premium was much higher than what his friend had paid, and so he refused to take the policy. Here, the insurance company was following all these steps as part of their underwriting process. While providing risk coverage, an insurer needs to evaluate risks properly and also to make a reasonable profit. See, if the risk is not assessed properly and there is a claim, it will result in a loss. Moreover, insurers collect premium on behalf of all insuring persons and have to handle these money like a trust. Now, let us learn about the underwriting. Now, what is underwriting? Insurance companies try to insure people who are expected to pay adequate premium in proportion to the risk they bring to the insurance pool. This process of collecting and analyzing information from a proposer for the risk selection is known as underwriting. On the basis of information collected through this process, they decide whether they want to insure a proposer. If they decide to do so, then at what premium? That is money, terms and conditions, so as to make a reasonable profit from taking such risks. Health insurance is based on the concept of morbidity. Here, morbidity is defined as the likelihood and the risk of a person becoming ill or sick, thereby requiring treatment or sometimes even hospitalization also. See, to a large extent, morbidity is influenced by age, generally being higher in senior citizens than in young adults, and also increases due to various other adverse factors also, such as being overweight, we call as obesity, or underweight, that is also there. Personal history of certain past and present diseases or ailments, personal habits like smoking, current health status, and also occupation of the proposal, if it is deemed to be hazardous. See, conversely, morbidity also decreases due to certain favorable factors like lower age, a healthy lifestyle. So, we can quote so many examples. Now, let us learn the definition for underwriting. Underwriting is the process of assessing the risk appropriately and deciding the terms on which the insurance cover is to be granted. This is the definition. Thus, it is a process of risk selection and risk pricing. See, what is the need for this underwriting? Underwriting is the backbone of an insurance company, as acceptance of risk carelessly or for insufficient premiums will lead to insurer's insolvency, that is admitting an ill health person, right? See, on the other hand, being too selective or careful will prevent the insurance company from creating a big pool. They may not have so many customers, so as to spread the risk uniformly. It is therefore critical to strike the correct balance between risk and business, thereby being competitive and also yet profitable for the organization. They have to compete with other industries and they should make profit also. See, this process of balancing is done by the underwriter in accordance with the philosophy, policies and risk hunger of the insurance company concerned, that is to which they are working for. See, here the job of the underwriter, what is he doing? He has to classify the risk and decide the terms of acceptance at a proper price to fix a premium. See, it is important here to note that acceptance of risk is like giving a promise of future claim settlement to the insured. We are assuring him. Can you understand? See, the underwriting risk assessment, how do they assess? Underwriting is a process of risk selection which is based upon the characteristics of a group or individual. Here, based on the degree of risk, the underwriter decides whether to accept the risk and at what price also they have to decide. Under any circumstances, the process of acceptance has to be done with fairness and on an equitable basis. What is this? Every similar risk should be classified equally without any prejudice. So, this classification is normally done through standard acceptance charts, whereby every represented risk is quantified and premiums are calculated accordingly. This is what they do. Although age affects the chance of sickness as well as death, it must be remembered that sickness usually comes much before death and could be sometimes even frequent. Hence, it is quite logical that the underwriting norms and guidelines are much tighter for health coverage than death coverage. See, for example, an individual who is diabetic has a far higher chance of developing a cardiac or kidney complication requiring hospitalization, then of death. And also, health episodes can happen multiple times during the course of insurance coverage. A life insurance underwriting guideline might rate this individual as an average risk. However, for medical underwriting, that is for our health insurance, he would be rated as a higher risk category. In health insurance, there is a higher focus on medical or health findings than financial or income based underwriting. Can you understand the difference between these two? However, the health insurance cannot be ignored as there has to be an insurable interest, and financial undertaking is important to rule out any adverse selection and ensure continuity in health insurance. What are the factors which affect the chances of illness? The factors which affect morbidity, that is risk of falling ill, often getting into sickness, should be considered carefully while assessing risk. What are the factors which we have? See, the first one is age. Premiums are charged corresponding with the age and the degree of risk. For example, the morbidity premiums for infants and children are higher than young adults due to increased risk of infections and accidents. Similarly, for adults beyond the age of 45 years, again the premiums are higher as the probability of an individual suffering from a chronic ailment, like for example diabetes, a sudden heart ailment here, okay, or other such morbidity is much higher. The second one is gender. Women are exposed to additional risk of morbidity during childbearing period. However, men are more likely to get affected by heart attacks than women, or suffer job related accidents than women, as they may be more involved in hazardous employment. And the third factor is the habits. Consumption of tobacco, alcohol or narcotics in any form has a direct bearing on the morbidity risk. The next factor is the occupation. Extra risk to accidents is possible in certain occupations. Say for example, driver, blaster, aviator, like this we can say a lot. Likewise, certain occupations may have higher health risks like an X-ray machine operator, asbestos industry workers, miners, like this. The next factor is the family history, hereditary disease, okay. See, this has greater relevance as genetic factors influence diseases like asthma, diabetes and certain cancers. See, here this does not impact the morbidity and should be taken into consideration while accepting the risk. Can you understand this? Next is build, that is our physical structure. Stout, thin or average build may also be linked to morbidity in certain groups. The next one is the past illness or the surgeries what we have undergone. It has to be ascertained whether the past illness has any possibility of causing increased physical weakness or even recur, and accordingly the policy term should be decided. See, for example, kidney stones are known to recur, and similarly cataract in one eye increases possibility of cataract in another eye. The next one is the current health status and other factors or compliance. See here, this is important to ascertain the degree of risk and insurability can be established by proper disclosure and also medical examination. The next one is the environment and the residence. These also have a bearing on morbidity rates. Now let us enter into the guidelines regarding portability of health policies. See here, the IRDA has brought out very clear guidelines regarding portability of life and health insurance policies. See, now we are going to discuss about these guidelines. The first guideline is portability shall be allowed in these manners. Okay. The first one is all individual health insurance policies issued by non-life insurance companies including family floater policies. The second one is individual members including the family members covered under any group health insurance policy of a non-life insurance company shall have the right to migrate from such a group policy to an individual health insurance policy or a family floater policy with the same insurer or even sometimes other insurer also. See, thereafter he or she shall be accorded the right for portability at next renewal. The next condition is the portability can be opted by the policyholder only at renewal and not during currency of the policy. That is, only at the time of renewal we can port it. The next one is a policyholder wanting to port his policy to another insurance company has to apply to such insurance company. That is, when you want to switch over from A company to B company, to port the entire policy along with all the members of the family, if any, at least 45 days before the premium renewal date of the existing policy. The next guideline is the insurer may or may not offer portability if policyholder fails to make an application in the IRDAI prescribed form at least 45 days before the premium renewal date. The next guideline is on receipt of such intimation, the insurance company shall furnish the applicant the portability form as set out in Annexure 1 to the IRDAI guidelines together with a proposal form and relevant product literature on the various health insurance products which could be offered to him. And the next one is the policyholder shall fill in the portability form along with the proposal form and submit the same to the insurance company. On receipt of the portability form, the insurance company shall address the existing insurance company seeking necessary details of medical history and claim history of the concerned policy holder. This shall be done through the web portal of the IRDA. The next one is the insurance company receiving such a request on portability shall furnish the requisite data in the data format for porting insurance policies prescribed in the web portal of IRDA within 7 working days of the receipt of the request. In case the existing insurer fails to provide the requisite data to the new insurance company within the specified time frame, that is the 7 days, it shall be viewed as violation of directions issued by the IRDA and the insurer shall be subject to penal provisions under the Insurance Act 1938. So, the next one is on receipt of the data from the existing insurance company, the new insurance company may underwrite the proposal and convey its decision to the policyholder. This is also according to rule in accordance with the Regulation 4 subsection 6 of the IRDA, Protection of Policyholders' Interest Regulations 2002. See here, if on receipt of the data within the above time frame, that is again the 7 days, the insurance company does not communicate its decision to the requesting policyholder within 15 days in accordance with its underwriting policy as filed by the company with the authority, then the insurance company shall not retain the right to reject such proposal and shall have to accept, they have to accept it, the proposal, where the outcome of acceptance of portability is still awaited from the new insurer on the date of renewal. And then let us now discuss about the third party administrators. I told you as TPAs. These TPAs are licensed by IRDA, that is Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, which undertakes and implementation and administration of health insurance schemes. It acts as a nodal agency between the insurance companies, insured member and the hospitals for rendering the right service at right time to the right person at a right price also. The advent of TPAs, third party administrators, is expected to play an important role in health insurance market in ensuring better services to the policyholders and safeguard the interest of insured members. See, their presence, that is the TPA's presence, will improve the cost, quality issues of healthcare providers in India. However, TPA, third party administrators itself, is facing challenges of institutionalization. Infrastructure related to health issues is very poor, which adds to the problem. The proliferation of healthcare technologies and increase in the cost of care has increased the awareness and need of health financing options to manage problem arising out of increasing healthcare costs. Further, uncertainty of diseases and changing disease patterns intensifies the need for insurance system that works on the basic principle of pooling of risks of unexpected cost of person falling ill and need hospitalization by charging premium from a wider population base of the same community. See, the TPAs are presumed to infuse new management system and enrich knowledge base of managing health care services and also cost. Their presence aimed at ensuring high efficiency, standardization and improving penetration of health insurance in the country. The third party administrators, who are called as TPAs, potentially have a wider role to play in standardization of charges and managing cashless services in health insurance. The TPAs earn their major revenue from fees charged as commission on insurance premium. IRDA has standardized this rate of fees or you call it as commission. Besides this, other sources of revenue are benefit management, medical management, provider of network management, claim administration and information and data management. TPAs, third party administrators, also face challenges of developing perfect system of financing their operations. It is argued that current health insurance sector would require substantial amount of working capital and bank guarantee of financial operations. Apart from this, other challenges are like a regulatory framework that understands intricacies of health insurance products, lack of quality assurance, measures for health providers and lack of consumer awareness about the benefits of health insurance. See, the third party administrator was introduced through the notification on TPA Health Services Regulations in the year 2001 by IRDA, that is Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. Their basic role is to function as an intermediary between insured and insurer and facilitate the cashless service of health insurance. What are the major roles played by this third party administrators? Let us see one by one. The first one is enrollment and issuance of member card. We will get a card, right? The second one is claims management. They only see all the claims. 24 hours call center services for information. They are actually 24/7. Pre-authorization and organizing cashless treatment. Now, what is this enrollment and issuance of member card? See, the third party administrator, he receives the policies from the insurers along with the member details. The TPA processes this information and issues an identity card to the insured member, which can be utilized by the insured members for availing cashless treatment at network hospitals of the third party administrators. Now, what is this claims management? The TPA has a team of medical professionals and technical staff to handle the claims for the members enrolled with the insurance company. TPA provides facilities in claim management. First one is evaluation of all claims, data entry and adjudication, facilitating better controls and monitoring of claim funding processes, access to claims, eligibility, enrollment, processing as desired by the insurance company. The second one is call center services. What is this call center services? They are available 24 hours at the TPA to give certain informations. Provide the status of the claims on phone or by fax or email also. Information on coverage of treatments and then general questions regarding procedures and protocols. Provide information regarding empaneled hospitals, that is what are all the hospitals listed and their contact details like phone number, address grievance of the customers. And then what is meant by pre-authorization? See here, this is again a system of approval of treatment and guarantee of payment by an administrator or an insurer to the treatment provider for services rendered to the enrolled members of a predefined benefit plan. What are the objectives of this pre-authorization? The main objectives of this pre-authorization are, first one is cashless treatment and utilization review. Cashless treatment, what do you mean by this? See, this is a payment authorization or guarantee to the provider for cost of treatment to the enrolled member. If we show the card, the hospitals will not ask for cash, that is cashless treatment. Utilization review. See, what is this utilization review? See, it is a method of ensuring quality of care with parameters of cost. Containment. It evaluates appropriateness of health care before it is delivered in order to help eliminate waste and potential risks to the patient. See, these utilization review techniques are mechanisms that attempt to control costs by examining whether services provided are medically necessary and services provided at an appropriate level of care at a minimum cost. Utilization review can be as three components: prospective review, concurrent review, discharge planning. What is this prospective review? It determines the appropriateness of the plan of treatment, associated costs, procedure or length of stay, how many days we will stay in the hospital. The next one is as concurrent review. See, here it verifies the need for continued hospitalization and determines the appropriateness of treatment rendered in the hospital setting itself. The third one is discharge planning. It determines the need for and manages the care that a patient may receive upon discharge from the hospital. For patients who have not fully recovered or do not require the highly specialized and expensive services of hospital care, discharge planning ensures that the patient receives the most timely, appropriate, safe and cost effective discharge. The challenges faced by the third party administrators in utilization review. First one is low penetration of health insurance, multiple administrators, less volume of business, less cooperation between providers with the TPAs. Next one is the lack of availability of online information of patients to track and manage care. The next one is lack of transparency by providers to avoid denials and deductions. Non-standardized information from providers. No common or universal coding methodologies used by providers for diagnosis or procedures. Lack of resources and understanding of health insurance concepts and requirements of TPAs. The information supplied to TPA is dependent on the treating doctor's honesty in stating the diagnosis and history of ailment. No standardized rates of services and professional fees, hence very poor control on the cost of the treatment. Unrealistic incentives for the administrators for doing utilization review. Non-usage of standardized clinical protocols by doctors which allows subjective decisions of treatment doctors and physicians, leading to over-utilization of services at the provider. Queries of TPA not answered in time, which leads to delay and denial of cashless treatments by the third party administrators. Lack of reconciliation mechanism for pending authorizations. See, these are all the details relating to third party administrators. Now, in this session, we have understood the concept of underwriting first, and then we discussed about the guidelines for portability, and also we have understood about the third party administrators, that is TPAs. Thank you.